So this PT video is about the key differences between ionising and non-ionising absorption. So we'll start with looking at ionising absorption, and the first thing to realise is that it only happens for certain parts of the electromagnetic spectrum, namely ultraviolet X-ray and gamma ray, the high frequency, high in photon energy, short wavelength end of the spectrum. So the two things that ionising radiation can do is, first of all, it can remove electrons from atoms. So here we've got a nucleus in blue and electrons in yellow, and the photon comes in and knocks the electron off, and that's ionisation. The other thing ionising radiation can do is it can take a molecule and it can break the bond. So here's a molecule of ozone. The photon comes in, breaks the bond between the oxygen atoms there, and breaks up the ozone. And that's a process that happens naturally in the ozone layer when, in this case, ultraviolet radiation is absorbed, and that's how the ozone layer protects us from ultraviolet radiation, UVC in particular. So the point is, only high energy photons have enough energy to do this, and that when these processes take place, both of them can lead to further chemical reactions happening. And this is the main damage mechanism for damaging living cells. If this process, either of these two processes happen, then further chemical reactions can happen, which can damage the DNA, which possibly leads to mutation and increasing the risk of cancer developing. So, non-ionising absorption, which basically is heating of something, occurs when we've got photons from the other end of the electromagnetic spectrum, the low energy, long wavelength, low frequency end of the spectrum, radio, microwave and infrared. Visible light is usually classed as non-ionising, although it's kind of where the transition between ionising and non-ionising happens. And the reason that it's not a definite boundary is because obviously some electrons are easier or harder to remove from atoms than others, and some bonds in molecules are harder to break than others, so it's a kind of fuzzy boundary. Okay, so what can happen in non-ionising absorption is, first of all, we can cause vibrations in the molecules. So this is a carbon dioxide molecule, and when infrared photons hit that, it causes it to vibrate. And this is exactly what happens. In fact, the reason that carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas is it absorbs infrared emitted by the Earth and contributes therefore to the greenhouse effect. Okay, and the other common example is the fact that water molecules, if we hit them with a microwave photon like that, will rotate, and that's the mechanism that microwave ovens use to heat the water in food. So both of these effects cause heating, and when the photon energy is not big enough to break the bonds and ionize, then they can cause vibrations or rotations, heating the substance up. So that's the key differences between ionising and non-ionising absorption.